Hi, this is Nikki from the design team, and today I'm here to look at two cards and matching our cardstock to the patterned paper. So a lot of times I have some great pattern paper, but I don't have ink pads or anything that seem to match it. And with this set from Cat Scrappiness called Perk Up, these colors are very interesting, but I do not have a specific ink pad that is exactly this color. So we're going to look at some techniques on ways to create our own cardstock so that we can coordinate with this paper. Also, make sure you check out the description of this video. There is going to be a hop for coffee lovers that is really cool and you can win prizes. So make sure to check that out and hit like and subscribe if you haven't done it. I am going to be using my Distress Oxides. Now, there is not a specific green that matches this color, and I really love this color in the Perk Up set. So I am going to mix a couple of colors and we'll see what we can come up with. I start by looking for what I feel like is the closest color, and that is Evergreen Bough. I feel like that's as close as possible to this. Now I just need to darken it up and add a little bit more to it to see what happens. I think it's always a good idea to use a gray or a black and then try to see how that changes your color. So there's lots of different families of grays. There are grays that are more cool, like have more of a blue type color in them, and then also ones that are more on the brown side. This one is Hickory Smoke, and it is similar to Evergreen Bough in what I feel like its base is and its, I guess, color family. And so I decided I would go ahead and add some Hickory Smoke to the whole panel. Then I'm going to try my Evergreen Bough and see where I am on color. You could always add more, and if you really needed to make something dark, you could use Black Soot, which is a black, but when blended out can be a very dark gray. Now that I have both of the colors there, I'm going to pull out the piece of paper, which you can see up above, that I'm trying to match. And I'm pretty close, but I know that this is going to dry a little bit lighter than what it looks because I'm still ink blending. So I'm going to add another layer of the Hickory Smoke. And when you first look at this, it looks like you can see the gray over the top of this green. But if you've used Distress Oxides, you know to keep on blending, just kind of like Dory in the movie. She keeps on swimming, keep on blending. Doesn't necessarily mean add too much more color, but really do a good job blending it together. And if all else fails and you're not sure, let it dry and see what it looks like. But I am pretty happy with this color. I know it has a little bit of areas that you can tell are gray, but what I'm going to do to make this look like it matches even more is to put a stencil over the top that's going to distract a little bit from that gray and just pull it all together. I'm going to be using this coffee splatter stencil. I'm only going to use the rings on this, so I'm going to have to do some masking with some post-it notes. And you could do this with anything, but post-it notes work really well because they cover up those extra spots so you don't get it on your card. I am still working at making sure I match this to my cardstock, so I want to keep my browns in a similar color family as the polka dots on my paper over there. So the best color I found for this particular color was ground espresso. Sometimes when you're looking at the true color of something, you know, I'm blending over green and gray. It might be slightly different, so you may have to try it out on some scrap paper and just see what you think. The other thing is that you may want to do this a little darker to make sure you get enough of that brown color, and you won't know the final color until this dries a little bit. So I'm going to add a decent amount of the ground espresso. Here's what it looks like. Look how perfect that matches. Oh my goodness. And then I can keep my masking on and just change where my stencil lays. And here's what that stencil reveal does. Oh, I just love these little coffee splatters. It's going to look so cute with my card. So this whole time I've been matching this polka dot paper. Now I'm going to see how that lines up. And I realize that the polka dots, if I cut it to the A2 size, you're not going to see my polka dots. So I decided to change up the background paper for this. And what's great about this is that we have a whole paper pack with those same general colors. So I can pick something else and work with it. And then I'm going to use this polka dot paper for my next card. So I'm going to end up using that patterned stripe paper. Now I've got to make the front part of my card, and one way to keep your colors very similar, especially in a darker color cardstock like this, I'm going to use some Kraft paper and I'm going to stamp it in the same color that I did my stencil with. So that stencil with the coffee splatter, I used ground espresso, and now I'm stamping with that Distress Oxide ink. And if you didn't know that you could stamp with Distress Oxides, you definitely can. It is, these inks are, for me, my primary ink blending inks, but you can do it. You may need to stamp a couple times, so it is best to use a stamp positioner. So I do this 3 times to get a good image, and then I'm going to put a sentiment in the middle, and I'm going to show you the ink blending for the middle layer of our card and all the colors coming together. And you can see with 3 stamps of this, it makes a nice solid image on this Kraft colored paper. So it looks just like I stamped it with a regular pad. So I'm going to add some of that ground espresso to a card. This is going to be the middle layer of our card. And the reason I'm doing this is just to create more of that color comparison. So this card is going to match so well, it's going to look amazing, but I'm just going to add some of this Distress Oxide to the edges. And why I'm using Kraft paper, a couple of reasons. I could do this on white paper, that would be fine, but you've already been given kind of a leg up if you start with a brown. It makes it less work for you, so I'm just adding it to a card that's already brown. And here's how these layers come together. So you see I've added the brown. You're not going to see the lighter color brown on this one because we're doing 3 layers of the card. So next I'm going to be adding our ink blended layer. So here's our ink blended layer. Look how good that coordinates. I still feel like it's missing something, so I did add some twine. I just love adding some type of other element to your card. If everything's paper, it just gives it that little extra excitement. So I'm gonna wrap some twine around, put my little coffee container on there, and it's gonna be all done. Okay, here's the completed card. It just looks so cute. I cannot wait to send this to someone, make a little coffee date with them. Okay, for this second card, I am going to use the polka dotted paper. I promised I was going to use this, and I am. I'm going to use it with this coffee mug die, and we're just going to color coordinate the band in the middle of that coffee mug. I've already cut out the little piece that we're going to be ink blending, but before we do that, I want to do some heat embossing on it and put my sentiment on it. So I'm going to heat emboss in white, and then we'll ink blend over that. So you know with heat embossing, you can easily ink blend over it. I'm going to use my Cat Scrappiness powder tool. This is great for embossing. Get everything dusted off, and then we'll put that embossing on and do the ink blending over it. And some people worry about ink blending over other things, specifically heat embossing. You can just use a little microfiber or a paper towel or something and wipe your embossing off, and the ink comes right off. I'm going to heat this off camera, and then we're going to ink blend. So I'm doing the same process. We're using Hickory Smoke, which we used last time. I'm creating a color on this piece, and then I'm going to add some Evergreen Bough. And you can see that my embossing is showing up right there. I still will use something just to wipe it off to make it extra bright white when we're done. And then this little band is just going to coordinate between the paper and that cute little coffee mug that we're going to do. And I know I keep saying coffee mug. I don't know what to call this. I guess I'll call it a coffee cup. I don't know. It's basically like your Starbucks cup. So I'm going to use that same ground espresso. I'm going to get this piece of paper distressed on the edges, and then I'm going to go around our coffee mug. We are using that polka dotted paper, like I said. We'll make sure to use that front and center on this card. Now, part of this cup is going to be covered up, so you don't have to do a whole lot, but I just think things look better with distressed edges. I feel like it just makes it pop in the middle, you know, it's almost like that spotlight effect for the middle of the cup. So I definitely recommend doing it just to make that extra little detail and really make your card look amazing. Here's what I was talking about, wiping off these letters just to make them extra bright white. They are a slick material, so you can just wipe that ink right off and it looks amazing. All right, and here's how these layers go together. We got the Kraft piece on the back, our polka dotted paper. I did grab some brown ribbon because, like I said, I love to have a little texture on the card. Then we're gonna place our coffee cup and we'll be all done. I just love how it turned out. Tell me in the comments if you make cards to send to your friends for coffee and just saying hello. We all need to send more happy mail. It just really does brighten people's day. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure that you check the description for all the links to the products that I used today. Those do help support me, and I'd appreciate it if you click on them if you're going shopping. It also will have the link for the coffee hop, which you are able to join and try to win some prizes. So I hope to see you there. I hope to see you again on the channel soon. Have a great day. Bye.